I never thought one evening could destroy everything I had built. I sat at the polished oak table, fork idle between my fingers, my wife's laughter peeling across the room like delicate ribbons of betrayal. Candles flickered. Red wine spilled slightly as she leaned closer to him, her friend from the gym, supposedly harmless. His muscles flexed even while sitting. Tight charcoal shirt hugging a body crafted by battles I had long stopped fighting. His name? Ryder. Like a bad omen riding into my peaceful life. I adjusted my wedding band, the gold cold against my skin, and forced a chuckle when they shared a joke. Amelia, my wife of 12 years, touched his forearm like it was instinct. A gentle caress. A silent betrayal. I pretended not to notice. I smiled because my 2 kids were watching. Little Ella, only 8, and Miles, barely 5. Innocence still danced in their eyes. I couldn't shatter it. But inside, a storm brewed. After dinner, Amelia offered dessert, bustling into the kitchen with Ryder following. I stood awkwardly in the living room, pretending to be absorbed in meaningless sports highlights. Laughter, softer, more intimate, floated through the hall. Words too low to catch, but tone unmistakable. I strained to hear, heart hammering. Missed you. Can't stop thinking. Tonight, when he's asleep. My palms grew clammy. Disbelief wrestled fury. This wasn't happening. Not in my house. Not with my children upstairs. I turned around just as they re-entered, Amelia carrying a tray, cheeks flushed, Ryder trailing behind, smugness dripping off him like cologne. His blue eyes met mine, and he didn't flinch. No shame. No fear. Just ownership. Dessert was a blur. Every bite tasted of ash. After the kids were tucked in, Amelia returned downstairs wearing silky, dangerously short pajamas she hadn't worn for me in years. She curled up on the couch, next to him. Not me. Her husband. Her partner. Know him. Join us, babe, she said, voice dripping honey. Fake sweetness. I sat opposite, a spectator to my own cuckolding. Ryder sprawled back, arm draping over the couch behind her. His fingers brushed her bare shoulder like he had done it 1,000 times. And she leaned into it. Conversation turned meaningless. Talk about workouts, new diets, exotic places they planned to visit as friends. I said little. My throat had closed. My fists clenched and unclenched. Then Ryder said it. So casually I thought I imagined it. Amelia deserves a real man. One who takes charge. Silence. Even the ticking clock seemed to hold its breath. Amelia giggled, hiding her face in his chest. I stood up, blood roaring in my ears. Maybe it's time you left, I said, voice trembling. Ryder rose too, towering over me. His breath smelled of mint and arrogance. Maybe it's time you left, he said. Before I could react, his hand flashed. Crack. The slap echoed through the house. Pain exploded across my jaw, bright and stunning. I stumbled backward, crashing into the coffee table. A glass shattered. Ella cried out upstairs. Amelia gasped, not at what he'd done, but at the noise. I tasted blood. Warm. Metallic. My wife didn't rush to me. She rushed to him. Baby, are you okay? She whispered, touching his chest, gazing up at him with adoration I hadn't seen in years. Ryder glared down at me like I was a cockroach scurrying on his floor. Then he said the words that shattered whatever pride I had left. I'm the new man of the house now. I lay there, humiliated, betrayed, broken. My kids stood at the top of the stairs, peeking through the banister. Their tiny faces filled with confusion, fear. Amelia turned to them, her voice soft, maternal. Don't worry, sweethearts. Ryder's going to take care of us now. They didn't understand. How could they? Neither did I. That night Ryder didn't leave. I did. I packed a small bag, toothbrush, jeans, a few shirts, while Amelia and Ryder made out shamelessly in the hallway. Every wet kiss, every moan, a dagger twisting deeper. I couldn't stay. Not in a house that smelled of betrayal. Driving aimlessly through the night, streets empty, I ended up at a grimy motel. Neon sign buzzing, bedspread stained, walls thin. I didn't care. I collapsed onto the mattress, staring at the cracked ceiling, feeling more alone than I had ever thought possible. Sleep refused to come. Memories flooded me. Our wedding day, Ella's birth, Miles's first step. Each one burned. And behind every memory now lurked Ryder's smirking face. The next day, I tried to reason with Amelia. Think about the kids, I pleaded over the phone. My voice cracked. She sounded distant, distracted. They'll adjust. Ryder's good for us. For us. Yes, she said. I love him. 3 words. Years of marriage erased. I hung up. Threw the phone across the room. It shattered. Much like me. Weeks passed. I rented a dingy apartment downtown. Concrete floors, peeling paint. My kids visited twice a month, supervised, of course. Ryder made sure of that. His rules. His house now. Amelia glowed during pickups and drop-offs, wearing short dresses, her neck littered with hickeys she made no effort to hide. Ryder would kiss her deeply in front of me, hands roaming her body possessively, claiming her like territory. And every time, Ella and Miles would watch, uncertain, fidgeting. I lived in hell. Breathing, walking, working, everything mechanical. Until one night, she showed up at my door. Rain battered my cracked apartment window, as if mocking the state of my soul. Days blurred into nights. Nights dissolved into hollow mornings. My hands trembled every time I tried to pick up my phone. I'd scroll past Amelia's posts, snapshots of her laughing against Ryder's broad chest, their hands tangled together, their smiles weapons sharpened against me. Even my kids, my babies, looked different standing beside him. Forced grins. Eyes dulled. I had to do something. I couldn't let him win. 2 weeks after Amelia's late-night betrayal, I found myself parked outside the gym where Ryder trained. Sweaty bodies poured through glass doors. Inside, Ryder stood under harsh fluorescent lights, lifting weights heavier than my pride. His reflection in the mirror looked carved from steel, untouchable, arrogant. He wasn't just stealing my family. He was replacing me. I clenched the steering wheel, knuckles whitening. That's when an idea began to slither through my mind, cold and venomous. If Ryder was going to take everything from me, I would tear something precious from him. Her name was Vanessa. Ryder's little side project. A curvy, raven-haired trainer he flirted with shamelessly between sets while Amelia cooked dinner, oblivious. I watched them one evening from the safety of my car. Ryder cornering her near the showers, whispers thick with suggestion, hands wandering. Vanessa laughed, flicking her hair, eyes glinting mischief. Perfect. 2 days later, I accidentally bumped into Vanessa at a nearby cafe. Coffee spilled. Apologies exchanged. Eyes locked. I'm new around here. I lied smoothly, flashing a crooked smile. Any good places to eat? Vanessa's laugh was low, throaty. Depends who's buying. Her hunger wasn't for food. Our first night together was a haze of sweat, nails, teeth. She was nothing like Amelia. Wild. Unapologetic. Dangerous. When she moaned my name, scratching bloody trails down my back, I almost forgot the pain Ryder had carved into my bones. Almost. Afterward, lying tangled in cheap hotel sheets, she murmured, "You're better than him." I froze. Who? I asked, feigning ignorance. She smirked. Ryder, of course. Every woman at the gym talks about him, but honestly? Overrated. Bitterness flared in my chest. I kissed her hard, silencing her, tasting revenge. Weeks spiraled downward. Vanessa became my secret weapon and my addiction. We'd meet in alleyways, back seats, storage closets. Every time I touched her, it wasn't love, it was war. I wasn't healing. I was festering. Then came the birthday party. Miles turned 6. Amelia invited me. Out of pity or guilt, I couldn't tell. I should have said no. But I needed to see them. Needed to remind myself what I was fighting for. Their house looked different now. Ryder had remodeled everything. New paint, new furniture, even new rules. Shoes off at the door. No yelling. No stepping out of line. a shrine to his control. I walked in carrying a wrapped toy truck, heart hammering. Ella raced into my arms, hugging tight. Miles shyly clutched my leg. For a moment I forgot everything. Then Ryder appeared. Black shirt stretching over his chest, tattoos snaking down thick arms, an evil smirk playing on his lips. "Didn't think you'd show your face," he sneered. Amelia hovered nearby, looking nervous, lips swollen from kisses not mine. I kept my voice calm. "I'm here for them. Not you." He chuckled. "Keep telling yourself that, champ." During the party, every interaction was a battlefield. Ryder paraded around, touching Amelia possessively, winking at the moms, cracking jokes about real men under his breath. I clenched my fists until my nails bit into my palms. Then Vanessa walked in. Tight red dress, heels that clicked ominously against hardwood. Every eye in the room turned. She winked at me subtly. Ryder's jaw tightened. Amelia noticed the shift immediately. Jealousy flickered across her face. Good. Two could play this game. Later, while pretending to refill punch, Vanessa brushed past me, her fingers trailing my waist. Heat coiled low in my gut. "Meet me upstairs," she whispered, voice dripping wickedness. Blood pounded in my ears. Risky. Reckless. Perfect. 5 minutes later, I slipped upstairs under the pretense of using the bathroom. Vanessa waited, perched on the edge of the master bed, my bed, once. She crossed her legs slowly, the red dress inching higher. "You want to hurt him?" she purred. I swallowed hard. "Then take me right here." We didn't make love. We devoured each other. Clothes ripped. Teeth scraped skin. Gasps filled the air. Somewhere below, "Happy Birthday" played faintly. Up here, betrayal bloomed like poison roses. Afterward, Vanessa smirked, pulling her dress back down. Think he heard? I laughed bitterly. I hope so. When I crept downstairs, the atmosphere had changed. Amelia's eyes were glassy, suspicious. Ryder glared at me, fists clenching. Something had shifted. Something irreversible. Days later, Amelia showed up at my apartment again. But this time, she wasn't crying. She was furious. "You humiliated me," she screamed, shoving me hard against the wall. I didn't defend myself. "What Ryder did to me, you had no problem with that?" I asked quietly. Tears welled in her eyes. "It's different." "Is it?" Silence. Heavy. Final. She turned to leave. "By the way," she said coldly, hand on the door, "we're filing for full custody." Then she was gone. I collapsed to the floor, numb. I had started this war. Now I was losing everything. The next evening, there was a knock. When I opened the door, Ryder stood there. Smiling. In his hand, divorce papers. In his eyes, triumph. "You lost," he said simply. Then he turned and walked away, whistling. But as I stared at the papers, heart hammering, something inside me hardened. Maybe I had lost this battle. But the war wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Papers sat on my counter, thick and heavy like tombstones. My marriage, my life, my family, all reduced to black ink and hollow signatures. I stared at the pen resting on top, cold sweat running down my back. Signing meant surrender. Acceptance. Obedience to Ryder's reign. I wasn't ready. Not yet. That night, sleep didn't come. Shadows moved across my ceiling like specters whispering doubts. Thunder cracked across the sky. Rain battered my window, endless and furious. In my hand, a whiskey bottle drained steadily, burning fire down my throat. Memories blurred. Ella's laugh, Miles chasing butterflies, Amelia's mouth breathing promises into my skin. Promises broken. Phone buzz. Unknown number. Curiosity flickered. I answered. "Miss me?" Vanessa's voice slid through the speaker like smoke. A pause. Then she laughed, cruel, sultry. "He's throwing a party tomorrow," she said. "Celebrating your divorce. Want an invite?" The world tilted under me. "I'll be there," I said, voice ice. The next day arrived in a haze. I wore a black suit. No tie. No warmth. I drove through rain-slicked streets, heart pounding a funeral march. Ryder's house, my old house, blazed with lights. Music thumped through walls. Cars lined the driveway. Laughter spilled out like poison. I walked up the steps slowly. Every muscle screamed at me to turn back. I didn't. Inside, the scene was a nightmare dipped in glitter. People danced, drank, groped each other shamelessly. Ryder stood at the center, a god among insects, laughing, arms wrapped around Amelia. Her dress barely covered anything. Blood-red silk clung to curves I once worshipped. Her eyes glazed over with alcohol and something darker, resignation. When she saw me, a flicker of guilt passed across her face. Quickly masked. Vanessa slithered up beside me, pressing her body against mine. "Good boy," she whispered, slipping a shot into my hand. I downed it without thinking. Fire burned down my chest. My vision sharpened. Everything sharpened. Hours blurred. Music drowned out thoughts. Everywhere I looked, Ryder. His mouth on Amelia's neck. His hand gripping her thigh possessively. His laugh roaring across the room. He wasn't just winning. He was gloating. Something inside me snapped. I found Amelia alone in the kitchen, leaning against the counter, glass of wine tipping dangerously. She looked at me. Really looked, for the first time in months. Her voice was a broken whisper. "I don't know who I am anymore." Neither did I. Without thinking, I stepped forward, capturing her mouth with mine. Shock froze her for a heartbeat. Then her body melted into me. Fingers twisted in my hair, pulling me closer. Kisses turned frantic, desperate, angry. Years of love and betrayal collided between us. She gasped into my ear, "Make me forget." I lifted her onto the counter, lips never leaving her skin. Clothes vanished. Fingers fumbled. She whimpered my name, not his. I buried myself in her, claiming, destroying, redeeming all at once. Each thrust was a declaration of war. Each moan a crack in Ryder's empire. Until he found us. Door slammed open. Ryder stood there, fury radiating off him like wildfire. Veins bulged in his neck. Fists clenched. For a heartbeat, none of us moved. Amelia slid off the counter, grabbing her dress, shame flashing across her face. I wiped my mouth slowly, staring Ryder down. He took 2 steps forward, then punched me square in the gut. Air whooshed from my lungs. I stumbled back, gasping. He didn't stop. Another blow, jaw. Another, ribs. I collapsed to my knees, coughing blood. People gathered, phones out, recording. Nobody stopped him. Not Amelia. Not Vanessa. Not the so-called friends cheering him on. Ryder grabbed my shirt, yanking me upright. "You don't touch what's mine," he growled. His breath was hot, reeking of whiskey and rage. "You're nothing. Understand?" I spit blood onto his pristine shoes. "Better nothing than you." His punch knocked me unconscious. When I woke, I was outside, sprawled on wet pavement. Rain poured over me, washing blood into the gutters. Above, stars blinked coldly. Everything hurt. Bones. Pride. Heart. I dragged myself up, staggering to my car. Inside, silence pressed down. On the passenger seat, my wedding band glinted mockingly. I hurled it out the window. It landed somewhere dark and forgotten, fitting. Later, lying in my filthy bed, ice pressed against swelling bruises, I thought about the man I used to be. Husband, father, provider, protector, all stripped away. Replaced with emptiness. Replaced with rage. They thought they broke me. They thought wrong. I wasn't done. Not yet. Pain became my morning prayer. Bruises colored my skin like war paint. My ribs creaked with every breath. My soul, that tattered thing, buzzed with a single word. Ruin. Not survival. Not healing. Only ruin. I spent days plotting. Every second Ryder breathed, every smug kiss he pressed against Amelia's trembling mouth, every birthday he stole from my children, it fueled the fire inside me. If he wanted to be the new man of the house? Fine. I'd make sure there wasn't a house left standing. First move. Silence. I stopped answering texts. No calls. No appearances at the gym. No drunken doorstep screaming. I became a ghost. They thought I was broken. Good. Let them think that. Second move, poison. Not literal. Worse. I reached out to old friends Ryder thought forgotten, men with scores to settle, women he discarded like trash, business partners cheated out of money. I became a shadow passing information. Photos. Secret. Deals. Whispers. Every handshake he ever made, I turned rotten. Within a month, cracks spidered through Ryder's kingdom. His gym lost contracts. Sponsors dropped him. Police began sniffing around. Loans he buried under fake paperwork surfaced like bloated corpses. The Alpha King bled slowly, watching his empire crumble. And he had no idea who swung the blade. Amelia tried to reach me. Messages piled up. Calls ignored. Once, she stood outside my apartment, shivering in the rain. I watched her through the peephole. Dead-eyed. Untouched. She chose him. Let her drown with him. Third move, destruction. Vanessa called late one night. You'll want to see this, she purred. She sent a video. I hesitated. Then played it. There they were. Ryder. Amelia. My kids. All dressed up like a perfect family. Dinner table shining. Birthday candles flickering. But something was wrong. Amelia's smile tight. Ella's hands trembling. Miles, silent, shoulders curled inward. And Ryder, towering above them all, barking orders. No laughter. No love. Only control. Domination. Fear. My chest caved inward. I realized something terrible. I wasn't fighting for Amelia anymore. I was fighting for them. Ella. Miles. My blood. My legacy. They didn't deserve this prison. They didn't deserve him. I loaded my old handgun, metal cold and heavy. It wasn't murder I wanted. It was freedom. For them. For me. The plan needed one thing, chaos. And chaos needed a spark. Saturday night. Ryder threw another party. Desperate, drowning, pretending he still reigned supreme. I parked a block away, heart pounding, fingers drumming against the steering wheel. Then, like a phantom, I slipped inside. The house pulsed with bass. Bodies writhed. Bottles clinked. Masks dropped. I found Amelia upstairs, cornered by Ryder, his hand gripping her arm too tight. She winced. He growled something low, dark. Miles and Ella peered from behind a cracked door, terror wide in their eyes. My vision tunneled. The gun weighed heavier in my jacket. I stepped forward. Let her go. My voice cut through the noise like a blade. Ryder's head snapped around. His mouth curled into a cruel grin. Look who crawled back. I pulled the gun slowly. Not aiming at him. Not yet. At the ceiling. I fired once. The roar shattered music, shouts, laughter. Screams erupted. People fled like rats. Ryder lunged. We crashed through furniture, fists flying. Blood splattered the walls. He was stronger. I was angrier. Somewhere in the chaos, Amelia grabbed the kids, dragging them toward the door. Freedom inches away. Ryder pinned me, his knee driving into my chest. You think you can take back what's mine, he snarled. Spit hit my face. I grinned through bloody teeth. They were never yours. I jammed my knee upward, hard. He howled, stumbling back. I rose, gasping. Gun trained steady. I didn't pull the trigger. Killing him would make me a monster. And monsters raise monsters. Instead, I turned. Ran. Found Amelia outside, huddled near the car with the kids. She saw me. For the first time in months, real recognition sparked in her eyes. Real fear. Real hope. We didn't speak. We didn't need to. We piled into the car. Tires screeched. We left everything burning behind us. Hours later, parked by a nameless roadside motel, I sat staring at my sleeping children. Ella clutched her favorite stuffed rabbit, stained and torn. Miles snored softly, thumbs slipping from his mouth. Amelia sat beside me, silent. Shell-shocked. Broken. Beautiful. I'm sorry, she whispered finally. Voice cracking. Tears slipping down her face. I thought he was better. I stared at her. At the woman who once built a life with me. At the woman who destroyed it. At the woman I still, God help me, loved. I'm not, I said. She blinked, confused. I'm not sorry, I repeated. Because without the betrayal, without the fire, without the war, I never would have known what I'm capable of. I kissed her. Soft, slow, familiar. She kissed me back. Different, wounded, real. That night, in the dirty motel bed, Amelia and I found each other again. Not the glossy love of weddings and promises. Not the desperate lust of betrayal and revenge. Something raw, ugly, true. Outside, the world kept turning. Ryder's empire burned. The house rotted. Friends disappeared. Enemies circled. He became what he deserved to be. Alone. Forgotten. Powerless. And me? I became something new. Not the man I once was. Not the man he tried to kill. Something sharper. Something hungrier. Something real. Not a king. Not a savior. Not a villain. Just a man. And this time, the last man standing.